walked into the room, guitar in my hand, ready to rock, gonna make some bold demands. But Scott, he's in the corner, drowning in his tears, kicked by the wolves, he's down with the fear. He bet it all on Denver, thought they had it in the bag, but those Timberwolves, man, they made him sad. Now sipping on his whiskey, feeling all alone, lost in the darkness, heart turned to stone. Oh, Scott, don't you worry about the loss, we'll rise above it. Toss away the dross in this podcast, we'll leave you with no doubt. Small ball's gonna turn that frown around.
We welcome you in to the Small Ball Podcast alongside Trevor Mikulin and Christian Dennis. I'm Scott Ayers, producer Andy in the house. Christian, it's great to have you back.
It's great to be here.
We missed you last week. Abu filled in. Abu locked in. But it is great to have you back.
Yeah, you know, I just want to say that I listen to every show that I'm not on. So
Wow.
I really appreciated you guys' little faith.
Halfway through the show, we're like, no way, Christian.
No, I'm listening.
He listens.
You listen.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank
Well, thanks for listening. The Denver Nuggets have been eliminated, and I am now mentally getting on a plane to Cancun.
Scott, you don't have to worry about the NBA anymore.
Be free, Scott. Be free.
You said you downloaded Twitter just for playoffs, and now you're out of that toxic
I've
environment.
uninstalled. My chains have broken. I'm free at last. I'm going to order a pina colada mentally. I'm doing all the things. I didn't tell you guys this. I went to the doctor on Friday
Really?
because my chest was tight and I was really struggling to sleep. And he said a lot of that could be due to the stress I had.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. And I went to get an x-ray too on Friday of my chest. And I'm feeling a lot better now, and it was definitely because of the Denver Nuggets.
Did he prescribe like a Nuggets loss
He
for you?
prescribed me muscle relaxer.
Oh.
But I didn't have the courage to pick it up. I'm like, I'm not getting muscle relaxer for my tight chest because I'm nervous about the Nuggets.
Did you see your X-ray of your chest?
No, they haven't said. It's just the two dogs in there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
I am too. There is this brief fear that it is like a cracked rib or something like that, but they checked my heart, said my heart's healthy, so I mean I'm good there. I'm
just picturing a little chihuahua just yapping in your chest right now.
It's for sure. That's all it is. And now that chihuahua can also enjoy the fact that mentally, I can't stress enough, not physically, mentally, I'm going to Cancun.
Scott, I'm picturing you, like you keep doing this motion with your arms up in the sky. I'm just picturing like sunset, your chains are broken, you are free.
I'm free.
And it makes me think like Anthony Edwards is the prescription to your stress.
Yeah, it wasn't even him.
He is the chain breaker.
Anthony Edwards thinks he's the chain breaker. It was really Jaden McDaniels.
Wow.
And Karl Anthony Towns. They broke my chains. Not Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah, you like that.
He had Jamal in handcuffs though.
That's what he said, but Jamal had 35 points. I don't know many players who are handcuffed to 35 points, Christian.
Brother, I have 35 points.
Yeah. The issue is Kat had 25, Jaden had 23. The NBA, this goes into our Wolves. This goes straight into Wolves.
We're in it now.
The NBA obviously wants Anthony Edwards to be the future face of the league, and I think there's a ton of validity there.
Yeah.
That Game 7 did not prove Anthony Edwards as the face of the league. If anything, it just proved the legitimacy of how good the Wolves are as a complete team. Because Jaden McDaniels was phenomenal, Karl Anthony Towns was phenomenal, Rudy Gobert was phenomenal. I would argue all three of those guys had far better games than Anthony Edwards.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. And yes, he went 6 for 24. No one's arguing that he had this amazing game. But at the end of the third quarter, when the
Had a huge
T-Wolves
steal.
when the T-Wolves were piling it on, it was a lot of Anthony Edwards on defense and then transition offense. He was a lot of it. And not only did he make those plays, but the energy that those brought to the Wolves and the momentum that it gave them, I think really helped them in the game.
But it was already set in stone with an 18-1 run with Karl Anthony Towns, who was playing so well, and Jaden McDaniels, who had 3 fouls in that first half and was phenomenal in the second half. And I don't want to take away from Ant. He's a great player, but you can't watch that game and be like, this was Anthony Edwards who did it.
But at that
it
point,
was the Wolves as a team.
I hear you. At that point, though, in the game, they were up 10. Ant brought them to within 1 by the end of the third.
It wasn't Ant, though.
It was.
It was
at
the
least
team.
at least in that final 10, for sure.
He hit a 3, which was huge. And he
had like
the
2
steal and just 1 steal.
Well, yeah, 1 steal, but I think he had like multiple plays at the rim where he finished. Next thing you know, they're down 2.
It wasn't multiple plays at the rim. He only had 6 made shots.
I don't
Keep looking. I'm going to look at the play-by-play.
I think that, people are talking about Anthony Edwards as a superstar. And when you think of a superstar, you think of someone who's scoring the buckets and getting the baskets, that's propelling their team to, close that gap and close that lead. But I think what we saw that, Anthony Edwards decided, I'm not being super efficient on offense, so I'm going to turn up my defense.
He was great defensively.
And that is what changed the game. When Anthony Edwards took on Jamal Murray at the start of the third quarter, he basically, held Jamal to, very little points in the second half compared to what he was doing in the first half. So it's like Anthony Edwards does, I think, deserve that recognition, but at the same time, it was a complete game from the full Timberwolves team. It was not just Anthony Edwards.
No one's saying that.
I don't know about that. If you look online, a lot of the talk is Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards. And it was like, Anthony Edwards was really held in check on the offensive end. And so that's where I'm raising my...
You think that the praise shouldn't be going to Ant for this series win. You think it should be going to the Wolves team.
It honestly, if anything, the most praise should be going to a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who is widely disliked, who is widely criticized, who's widely meme-ified, whatever, because he is kind of a goofball. He was, in my opinion, the most consistent player for the Wolves offensively, and honestly played very good defense against Jokic, especially in that Game 7. If anything, the praise of that Game 7 should be going to Karl Anthony Towns. If you want to praise an individual player, he was the best player for the Wolves in that Game 7.
Which is funny because I think Anthony Edwards would even disagree with you, to a certain extent, because at his post-game interview, it was like, oh, who gets the game ball? And he said Jaden McDaniels.
Sure.
Which, yes.
Also could deserve it.
Yes, Cat had a great game, but, dude, Jaden McDaniels, also an amazing game.
Yeah, I think the best comparison I saw this past weekend was Chris Paul during the 21 finals, when a lot of the media was just saying Chris Paul is leading these young guys to the finals, but it's a holistic effort. It's a team thing, It's not just one player leading everybody. And Ant's been great, but again, to your point, it's not just one player.
Yeah, he was, and he did have some really key plays in that second half, but there were guys who I think played far better. And it also goes to Denver's thing where Jamal and Jokic struggled at times, and they got 0 production from their 3 other starters. And I think that's a key point. But that's where you credit Jay McDaniels, who held MPJ in check, not just in Game 7, but all series long.
And it's just, the better team ended up winning this series.
I agree.
And I feel like that shouldn't be that big of an argument because you saw the production throughout the entire series that the Wolves got from their role players. Naz Reid showed up at times. We talked about Jaden McDaniels. Even Nikhil Alexander-Walker had some moment. Mike Conley had moments. Rudy Gobert stepped up. I mean, when Rudy Gobert hit that fadeaway and one shot, I was like, this game is over. There's no chance the Nuggets won. And I think going into this series, a lot of people were like, Nuggets, they won it last year. They're the better team. They they had the best player in the series with Jokic, but at the end of the day, basketball is a team sport, and the Wolves ultimately had the more well-rounded basketball team.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to the role players that stepped up. The Nuggets didn't have any of that.
Especially in game, because you look at games 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Gordon was phenomenal in those games. Like they stepped up. In game 7, Aaron Gordon had 4 points. KCP and Christian Brown had 5, and MPJ had 7 on 3 of 12 shooting. That will never, ever, ever get it done. 20 combined points if your name wasn't Jamal or Jokic. So, yeah, now we look on to the Wolves and the Mavs. And my first instinct, just jumping right in, is the Wolves should kick some serious ASS.
Whoa, Scott.
You like that?
I feel like a lot of people have that mindset right now because the Wolves just took down the biggest team in the West. But to me, I'm standing on my take.
Yeah, stand
that
on your
I've
ground.
had. The Mavericks are going to make the NBA Finals behind Luka and Kyrie. They've been such an awesome duo, and it's not like Luka's taking over games. I've been waiting for him to have a 40-point, 50-point performance, and it's just been, steady 20, 10, 8. Like mostly. And when Luka is, being guarded well and Dort was giving him, physicality and he couldn't do anything, Kyrie would step up. And then, they get doubled. They're swinging it over, to like PJ Washington and the dude's shooting like 50%. They're tough to beat. So that's why I got the Mavs, baby.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting series, and we should just start this, conversation off with Wolves fans. If you thought the refs sucked against the Nuggets, even though you got the most foul calls, more foul calls than the Nuggets in your last series, just get ready for the Mavs because you're going to see Luka get into the line a ton. He's going to get a ton of foul calls. We're going to be watching the game. We're going to see Luka complaining to the refs. And then we're going to go on our phones and we're going to see Timberwolves complaining about the refs.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a complete complaint fest wherever we look.
I have to say, that is the one thing that will have me cheering for the Mavs these first couple games is seeing the complaint fest from some Wolves fans that we know of the show and even online. This is a personal want, and this is where, as a bad fan, you kind of a little angry from the past series. I want Luka to go to the free throw line like 30 times in game 1. And I'm not being dramatic. Like, I want him to shoot 30 free throws just so Wolves fans can understand what a tough whistle looks like. Not you shot 25 free throws and you thought you should shoot 30. That's my wish. I want Luka to shoot 30 free throws in game 1.
Yeah.
So, but that's, again, just because we know some nasty Wolves fans. Not even nasty, just whiny.
It is crazy to think how, like, your fandom depicts, like, other people's fandom or, like, how they view your team. Like, I like Anthony Edwards. The Wolves, in my head, I was talking to my friend Sam, and he brought up a good point. They're like the twin organization to the Sacramento Kings. We were both in just low points in our organization of just being some of the worst teams for over a decade and a half. And then now seeing the Wolves like advance and be as good as they are, there's like still a little jealousy in my heart of like, man, I wanted that to be me.
Yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, I look at the Mavs and I'm like, Luka Doncic is on that team. That's the team. Luka should be on the Kings. We should have drafted him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for me, but I'm going with the Timberwolves.
Fair.
I'm going with the Timberwolves because Minnesota, as just a state,
They need it.
they need it.
They need it bad.
They need it bad. They got a lot of great fans out there. Brett, who was on our show, very knowledgeable about the Wolves, went to Denver and watched Game 7. He's a great guy. I know he is.
Yeah.
And he's the type of guy that makes me like the Wolves.
For sure.
But then there's some fans where I'm like, dude, don't get too cocky here. You guys have never done it. So we need to dial it back a little bit and be more realistic of like, hey, we're just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Your team's good. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, the matchups are interesting too. I feel like I've heard people talk about how, Gobert's going to cause problems. They didn't face a Gobert yet. But like, Chet is a very solid rim protector. He's not as meaty as a Gobert, not as strong.
I don't think he's as intelligent either.
Sure, like defensive IQ.
Yeah, Rudy speaks 2 languages.
I like that. But I will say, Chet affects the defensive end like greatly. The dude is a presence above the rim and really affects shots, and he did in the second round series. So I think that it's going to be potentially a similar looking matchup for the Mavericks as OKC was, because the Wolves are super physical on defense. The Thunder were super physical on defense, and they have a super solid guard and good players around them. Yeah.
That's a fair point. I like that. I didn't really think about it that way. The only thing is that when I look at the Wolves, I see they have more length than the Thunder do. So it could be a little bit different with how they guard Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah.
And then too, it's just like the Wolves are just a little bit older, so they have a little bit more experience. Whereas I think the Thunder, who played amazing during the series, and they definitely have a great team and great pieces. But at the end of the day, it's just like they're still figuring it out, whereas the Wolves seem just more solid.
I'm gonna have my X factor, and he was the X factor against Denver. Karl Anthony Towns. I think it's a complete 180 from what we saw last year and in years past, where he was not dependable, really stupid fouls, just always was in trouble. But he has played so well in this postseason that if he continues to give Minnesota the same production at the level that he's doing it, while continuing to be a really, really solid defender, I see this Minnesota team not only beating the Mavericks, but I see them also beating Boston. And that's just how well they've played as a group and how much production they're getting out of a guy like Cat. When you go into the playoffs, you're like, it's Karl Anthony Towns. What is he actually going to do? He's been great from beyond the arc, but he's been aggressive, and he puts you in really tough positions. And that's another thing is actually for the Mavericks is they also have Daniel Gafford, which he will have to play better in this series because that's what Denver lacked is someone off the bench who has size. Daniel Gafford has size, but he's going to be dealing with some real trouble with Cat, Nas, and Rudy.
Yeah. I think the Mavs, one of their strong suits is their center tandem. They have Derek Lively and they have Daniel Gafford, who both at different moments have shined for them and provided awesome lob threats for Luka and Kyrie. Like, those guys draw attention. Next thing you know, they're throwing up beautiful dimes. Yeah, but I got Mavs in 7. I think that this series has Game 7 written all over it, and it's going to be one of the most entertaining series this year. So I got Mavericks winning in 7.
I've got Wolves in 5.
Wow, Scott, you're confident in the Wolves.
I really am.
Yeah.
But the Mavs will win Game 1 because Luka will shoot 30 free throws.
I think I'm going to go, I'll split it. I'll go Wolves in 6.
Okay.
People forget Karl Towns coming into the draft was known for his defense.
I like that.
People forget that.
See, on the last couple shows, Scott, you came into the playoffs with such a low view of Cat, I think.
I had a low view of Cat.
Yeah.
I've been blown away by Cat. Here are your flowers, Cat.
Respect. Because the last couple shows, you've been like, it's Cat. If Cat's going to go off, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
You know?
And I said Game 7.
You did.
Cat or Jamal. Turns out both played great, and it was Jaden McDaniels who was the third X factor.
Sure. Yeah. This playoffs is shaping up to be so exciting.
We're gonna get a winner of 4 players that I think are loved by the league.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, Halliburton, Luka, or Anthony Edwards. And obviously supporting cast members. Those are the 4 main faces.
One of those 4 will be an NBA champion.
For the first time.
First time.
Which is great.
The best thing I saw on Twitter, Scott, you probably deleted it already, but
Yeah, it's
people
gone.
are absolutely dunking on Embiid. Like saying like this Cats at the conference finals before Embiid. They were saying like
Tyrese
Halliburton is there too. And it's just like it's hilarious at how much Philly has struggled to put any type of like team together.
Embiid is the most hated superstar in the NBA.
Has to be.
Has to be. No one likes him.
No. Unless you're in Philly.
Unless you're a Philly fan, you're not an Embiid guy.
No.
Well, it's because of the excuses. Because guess what? Philly did put a team around him with Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler. And they make excuses. I saw Philly fans being like, if Embiid had the cast that Jokic had, he'd be a 2-time NBA champ. And you're like,
No way.
dude.
Wait, no. Jokic doesn't even play with any All-Stars.
Yeah.
What is that? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, what are we doing here?
Technically, he had that this year, right?
Maxey.
Oh,
yes.
Maxey was an All-Star.
Yes.
So maybe they got something here.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to get rid of all their All-Stars.
Yeah, that's been their issue is they play with too many All-Stars.
Yeah.
Play with no All-Stars, NBA Finals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Book it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Lock it in.
Yeah. But speaking of All-Stars, this final 4 teams, like we said, it's going to be really exciting. The Pacers-Celtics series, I think it's pretty much written in the stars that will be the Celtics, but maybe the Pacers will surprise us.
Dude, okay, so you don't have the Celtics. I don't have, you don't have the Pacers. I don't have the Pacers.
I don't have the Pacers either.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is I do think the Pacers are a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
do watch their run, and I do kind of like go back and forth internally if they're like, are they having like an Atlanta Hawks run where it just really worked out for them and everything? But when you're looking at the Pacers' journey, they played an injured Milwaukee Bucks. They played an injured New York Knicks. Celtics are really just missing Kristaps right now. So it's like, is this like where the Pacers kind of their luck runs out and the Celtics just kind of dominate and just show them who they are? Or is it like, are the Pacers going to give it to the Celtics and, show them that, like, we're also here?
They're playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
That's their mindset. They're like, everyone's expecting us to lose. Let's go prove them wrong.
They were a 6th seed.
Right. And that Scott and I were talking about it. That Pascal Siakam trade, dude, what a move
Great
for them
move.
at the trade deadline to go grab an all-star, to put with Tyrese, to make a push, and they're doing that. They
They're
got to be
another
proud.
team that has a solid built team.
Yeah.
Like their role players are performing well. Like you have Aaron Nesmith, who's a dog.
TJ McConnell. has
TJ
been
McConnell, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like their supporting cast is, great.
And that's the difference with these playoff teams versus like a Nuggets. Your stars are going to play well, but if you don't have those guys like TJ McConnell, who at the beginning of the season was getting DMPs, he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And
It's
now
crazy.
in the playoffs, he's one of their best role players. And you have these guys who are stepping up. That's the difference between, the winners and losers in second round series.
Especially in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a big deal. And I will say for the Pacers, the one thing they have going for them, defensively, they stink. But if there's one offense in the NBA that can keep up with the Boston Celtics, it's the Indiana Pacers. Right? Their historic shooting probably won't keep up, from what we saw in Game 7 against the Knicks. But they will get a lot of outside looks. They're going to produce a lot of open looks, and you can credit their great guard play. So I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana wins 2 games against the Celtics. If they're lucky, maybe they get a third, but I think there's just too much talent in Boston for them not to win this series.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys, Celtics in 5 for me?
Oh, see, I think I'm with Scott and go Celtics with 6.
Yeah, Celtics in 6.
Because I just think that, I feel like we kind of keep thinking that the Pacers' style of play is not going to work in the playoffs because playoffs is historically like half-court offense. But the Pacers have somehow managed to continue to play fast and force teams to play fast. And if they get hot, they're hot.
Yeah.
Like we literally saw it in Game 7. Like they will shoot lights out. I think that Game 1, Pacers are going to put up a stinker.
For sure.
They shot the ball way too well that they cannot follow the next game up with a good shooting performance. But I wouldn't be surprised if they win at least their first 2 home games in Indiana.
Yeah.
I like that.
2 things, okay? Before we whatever's next. Number 1, your finals predictions were
Way off.
Clippers, right?
Nope. Sixers, Nuggets.
Sixers, Nuggets.
Because I wanted to see Embiid, Jokic. in the
Right.
finals.
You had
Yeah,
Mavs
that's
Celtics.
Well, yeah, I was gonna. Yeah. Who do you have? You had Celtics, Nuggets.
Celtics Nuggets.
Oh, okay. So you still potentially have one. I had Mavs, Celtics, boys. Still, the writing is in the stars.
Makes me sick.
Dude,
Andy?
that's
I love your pick, Trev, because we were talking about this at work at lunch today. It would be hilarious to watch Kyrie win one in the Garden, not on the Celtics. Like, just because
that's
how
true.
that all unfolded.
Oh.
Like, oh man, it'd be.
I
So
would
funny.
be the biggest Mavericks fan ever.
Yeah.
If whoever plays Boston, I will be the biggest
Yeah.
fan of that team. But Kyrie going into Boston with those loser fans.
yeah. Oh, it's gonna be
And-
glorious.
Oh, and he imagine he hits a game-winning shot.
Like he did in against the Warriors. Just
Yeah, so that was my first thing. Second thing, I'm curious if you just had to choose based on which of the 4 stars you like the most between Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton. Which one would you want to see get a ring this year?
Oh, I like that question.
Yeah,
that's
Which one?
interesting.
because honestly, for all of them, maybe except Tatum, I really like them, and I would be fired up if Tyrese won a ring.
See,
you
the
know?
thing is like I like Tatum.
Yeah.
I like the players on Celtics, but I just don't want to see the Celtics win. So I'm just gonna remove that. And I kind of, in a weird way, hope that eventually they blow it up because that'd be just sick.
Awesome.
Because you want Jaylen Brown to
I
come
want
to
Jaylen Brown.
Sacramento.
Yeah. I don't necessarily. I think I'm gonna go with Anthony Edwards because one, he's kind of following a timeline of like Dwayne Wade. If you think about it,
Yeah.
because Dwayne Wade
Six.
won his ring very early, and so D Wade was like my favorite player growing up.
Nice.
Luka, I just like I've said on the show before, like I just don't like the style of play he has.
Sure.
It's just annoying watching him complain all the time. And then I'm still like, as much as I love Tyrese, I want to see him succeed, but at the same time, it's like as a Kings fan, it's like, damn. Yeah, I wish that was us.
Yep, been thinking about that trade a lot.
I was thinking about that trade a lot too. I just want to throw this out here just real quick. When we made that trade, we made it at the trade deadline for Sabonis.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, why didn't we, if we were really going to trade one of the 2 guards, why didn't you just wait till the summer?
Yeah.
That's the only, it's just the timing of it. Because one, like I love Sabonis, he's great, and I do think that the Kings will have a better year next year. I think there's just a couple games. They were terrible free throw shooters, so it's like there's a couple games we could have picked up. But I'm just curious of like if we actually had Tyrese Halliburton available for a trade, what other players would have been out there?
Yeah.
Like you would think that like Sabonis wouldn't be the best player we could have got for Tyrese if we were still moving Tyrese.
Yeah. Anyways, I agree. It's had me thinking a lot about that trade when we did it. Yeah. Anyways, for you, who's your pick between those 4 guys?
If I'm just thinking of the player, I think I would go with Luka.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool to see him win a ring. If I'm thinking for like player plus team and fan base, I think I would actually choose Tyrese.
Yeah.
And the Pacers. The Pacers are, in my mind, just growing up, you think of Reggie Miller and you think of some of those historic playoff teams or like the Paul George teams that kind of gave LeBron a run for their money.
But they always fell short.
But they always fell short. And so if you put into perspective a Pacers team who make this run, who beat a 65-win Celtics team, who beat whoever they beat in the finals to win a ring, their first ring, that would be really cool.
That would be awesome. See, I can make the case in my head for Tyrese. I can make the case in my head for Ant, the excitement behind, this Ant guy is going to be insane.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm a Luka guy. That's my pick. I would love to see him get a ring at 26 years old. The dude is just he's a generational talent, I believe.
It would be kind of nice to get like Luka a ring and just like, all right, he finally got his sort of thing. So
No
it's
more.
like
It's funny because one of these guys is going to get a ring, unless it's Ant, but like one of these guys is going to get a ring, and it'll be like, all right, he's had the love that the NBA fan base has for these guys will probably diminish a bit because they've won a ring. There's something that happens in that, like for the Nuggets, they were everyone's Cinderella through the playoffs last year.
And
This
now they're
year,
like hated.
dude, they got no love from people. It's all Wolves. Everyone was rooting for the Wolves because the Wolves haven't done it, and the Nuggets did last year. So
Yeah, it's interesting. That's just how the fandom works, I guess.
Yeah.
Which really quickly, there's some really stupid stuff in the NBA sphere. We've got to put an end to things like calling people front runners. I think that's really stupid. As in, like, people get upset because they see Tyrese like making a comment at a player. They call him a front runner. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, of course he's gonna like flex or do something. Like, he just hit a 3 to go up 20 points. So that's just like my one tangent really quickly is like, sometimes NBA fans, like, let's calm down. Let's just continue to celebrate. I was telling Christian at work, it's like when you watch a defensive lineman get a sack and he's beating his chest and he's screaming, you don't go, man, this guy's a front runner. What a clown. You're like, damn, that was pretty sick. But for whatever reason, in the NBA, a guy hits a 3, starts yapping a little. NBA Twitter or wherever, it's like, total front runner. Get him out of here.
Yeah, I completely agree because you can talk your smack. Like you just if you hit a cool shot, make a great block, make any good play, you can talk your smack. That's what the game is for.
Yeah,
it's what makes the game fun.
Yes.
Anthony Edwards waving at the fans in Denver. Yeah. I didn't love the alley-oop for Jaden McDaniels.
I didn't like that either.
But I loved Anthony Edwards waving at the fans.
Yeah.
That's what we want,
for
bro.
sure. No, yeah, they gained the right to talk.
Yes.
If you don't like them talking, then shut them up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like it's soft fans or just like, let's just get rid of the whole front runner thing. Someone even like called Jokic or Coach Malone like, oh, these guys are front runners. I'm like, they just won an NBA championship.
I don't know what that term means. I thought front runner meant like, oh, they're ahead in the race. They're probably going to win the title. Like, oh, the Celtics are the front runners.
No,
for the
it's
title
a
this year.
negative term in the NBA landscape. It's a really stupid thing. NBA, we've seen a lot of amazing growth. Great to see a lot of fans. That's one of those things that really is
The
stupid.
NBA, the internet behind the NBA is probably full of the most like misinformed, just dumb people on the internet.
I agree.
And I
totally agree.
I even want to point directly at big ESPN. They did a poll between 16 reporters on who will win against the Knicks versus the Pacers. All 16 of them voted for the Knicks. Like, does anyone watch basketball? Like, there could have been at least a couple that was like, oh, the Pacers have enough to win. Like, all ESPN does is just go with whatever big media it is.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to go, like, they're probably going to ride the Celtics so hard. They'll probably go with Luka and Dallas. And it's just like, could someone, like, have, like, some basketball sense and say, like, oh, yeah, you know, the Pacers, they're still a shot. They could still win. They're here for a reason.
Yeah. Literally, that game 7, Knicks Pacers, Stephen A. Smith showed up like he was a player for the New York Knicks. Like, he's walking the tunnel. He's dressed up. What are we doing?
I kind of love that.
I
kind of
think-
love that.
I just
He's known as like a Nick
Yes.
guy.
He is. But the thing is, like, we don't see that in the NFL. We don't really see that in the MLB. Obviously, David Ortiz will say he hates the Yankees or whatever.
Yeah, we love it.
Which is fine, but it's like, at a certain point, let's just hold ourselves to an ounce of a standard to, like,
Yeah.
give praise to the other team, because that sucks for, like, Pacers fans who,
Oh, they're not going to get any love. No.
Yeah.
No.
like, that's a joke,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
You may get like one analyst, like a Kendrick Perkins, being like, I got the Pacers in 7. Just to gain that fan base.
Right.
He's totally doing it for Twitter follows.
Well, he's a Celtic.
He is.
Yeah,
so
he
he
won
won't
champ,
even.
so he won't.
He won't, but someone will.
But that's where I draw the line. I just like, that's where the NBA, I think the NBA kind of stunts its growth is. I mean, ESPN's dying anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, that's ESPN.
But here are us up here all picking the Celtics.
Well, That's fair. That
Fair.
is fair.
But we also did pick the Pacers in
Christian
round
did.
2.
Christian did.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. So it's like, we know some ball.
We know some ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, though, but it's like, it's the Pacers and the Knicks. It's not the Pacers versus Celtics.
Agreed.
You know,
Nice.
the Celtics have
Yeah.
been the number one
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
year. They've been dominated. So,
Nice. Hey, before we wrap up, Andy, 30 seconds, obituary for the Cavs.
Fire JB Bickerstaff. Next year, we're holding strong. Evan Mobley, you are a king. Remains in the gym. Please.
Sacramento.
Sacramento King.
What?
No. He's just a king. He's
Oh,
just a-
I would love that been Mobley.
You are a king.
Yeah, I probably should have clarified that. But no, Darius Garland, I think, is going to be moved this summer. I hate to say it and I hate to watch that happen, but I think that they are going to have to make a move if they want to really capitalize on this Donovan Mitchell thing. And it hasn't quite worked out in the way that they wanted to. So I understand why they would need to make a move. I would not. I stand by my players.
Can I interest you in something?
Nope, but go for it.
I know you're going to. Give it to him. Give it to him.
Donovan Mitchell for a first-round pick.
2024.
Oh,
Super
2024.
young.
Oh, my gosh. This guy's so young.
28th pick.
28th pick.
Clear skin.
Zeke Naji.
Whoa.
Whoa, he just got re-signed. He's got to be good.
Oh, my gosh.
And who's this sharpshooter over here? MPJ.
Next to Garland.
Oh, my. He looks
And
like
Mobley.
KD.
He's handsome.
He's so handsome.
Way more handsome than Donovan.
Yeah.
That Cavs team would go back to being the team with like Larry marketed. It'd be literally kind of the same team.
This would regress us about 7 years.
No, not with Zeke.
We'll throw in Peyton Watson.
Wait, so are you a trade Donovan, keep Garland, or are you a trade Garland, keep Donovan? Or are you just a straight run it back?
I think.
Wants to fire the coach, so.
Yeah, fire the coach.
Well, that's
If
not-
you fire the coach, I think you can run it back with the players
think
and make
so?
a new determination with a new coach. But I don't see that actually happening. I think if they were smart, they would fire JB and
Who are we hiring?
JJ Redick. No, no, I don't know. It's a really tough market right now.
You ever heard of
I
Frank?
I think
Mr.
there's
Vogel?
a lot of no, not Frank Vogel.
Oh, what about Doc?
No,
Nice.
absolutely not. He's
His
the
job.
worst thing to
listen,
ever
he'll-
touch a team.
He could be fired.
You could.
He could.
I heard Krzyzewski's available.
Why don't you just promote assistant coach Luke Walton? He's assistant coach for the Cavs right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, dude. I saw him talking to Donovan Mitchell during the playoffs, and I was like, Donovan, do not take it as his
Whatever
advice.
he's saying, he's wrong.
Don't listen.
That guy
to
was
Luke.
a bench player and a terrible coach.
Anyways.
I think Phil Handy would be pretty sweet. I think he'd be well loved by the players, especially young guys. Like they're moldable, so we'll see.
For those who don't know, he's Lakers
Oh, okay.
assistant.
These young players are gonna be molded by
They're like,
the hands of Handy.
Getting handy with Phil, Coach Phil.
get handy with Coach Phil.
All right,
That would be a great basketball clinic.
What would?
Getting handy with Coach Phil.
Nah.
No. July 13th to the 15th.
Special guests.
Special guest Phil Handy.
What players are gonna come show out for this?
Kelsey
clinic?
Plum.
Oh.
Yeah, WNBA showing up.
Oh, okay.
She's flying from Vegas to Cleveland. Donovan, of course.
Maybe by then.
Tyler Hansbrough.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Tyler Hansbrough, fun fact, is a really good pickleball player.
I saw this clip.
He's like kind of nuts.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going pro or not, but I
saw
think he
that.
is.
I think so. He you know, like after he would get a dunk or something, his intense look.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing that on the pickleball court. I watched some highlights.
scary.
You ever seen a semi-pro?
Yeah.
Of course.
You know when they put mascara around their eyes, and they're like wide open, and they're like being super spooky. That's like Tyler Hansbrough 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Hold the mascara because he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it.
No. Wow. All right. Well, that's a show, guys. For Trevor Mikulan, producer Andy, and Christian Dennis, I'm Scott Ayers. We're saying so long for now. We will see you next week.
Bring your ass.
Trevor's got a love for Luca, don't you? Dribble and shoot, he's the Mavericks' main dish. Scott's chains are broken, they not be freed from print. Twitter feeling liberated, cause words are getting bigger. Christian's got that Q factor, oh so sweet with his moves on the court. You can't be beat, Wolves fans, you troglodytes stuck in the past, but we love you anyway. It's a love that'll last. We wanna thank the listeners for tuning in to the Small Ball Podcast, where we always spin the latest in basketball, in-depth talk from hot takes to analysis. We never balk Trevor's passion for Doncic. It's burning bright, Scott breaking free from Twitter. What a sight, Christian's cuteness oozing through the microphone, and Wolves fans will always call you our own. So here's to all the fans who got our back, listening to our rants and the facts we unpack. From Trevor's love for Luka Doncic to Scott's freedom from Twitter without a glitch, Christian's charm and the troglodytes we adore. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back for more. To Scott's freedom from Twitter without a glitch, Christian, Sean, and the troglodytes we adore. Thank you for tuning in.